Man, it's your boy back in the house on a Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe. Hopefully, you guys are having fun and having an opportunity to enjoy your families. It's the one and only Coach Tony, and this is the Pull Up Podcast Show, episode 115 in the house. Man, can't believe 115 episodes, and we're still rolling. Tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to enjoy me, and I've got a special guest of mine, very close person to me and also to you. But before that, Val, you know what to do. Drop it.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Val's the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, I said Val's the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, it's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, it's the Pull Up.
Man, welcome back to the one and only Coach Tony and the Pull Up Podcast Show. I appreciate you tonight. Thanks for checking in on a busy Memorial Day weekend. But before we get started, make sure you check us out, like the show. I already know you love it, but make sure you like it, 2 thumbs up. Make sure you share with your friends, family, and anybody that you know. And more importantly, subscribe to the show. Tonight, we're going to get in some depth. We know we've been speaking about what's going on with the new rookies. And we're going to talk a little bit of WNBA, what's happening there. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the news that came down that's going to change college athletics. Now, we've been talking about this in multiple months. If you've been following along the show, you've been able to be abreast on everything that's going on. So tonight, as we get started, I'm going to bring on somebody that's going to help me get through this tonight. My co-host, my producer, and my girl, the one and only Val, the voice. Val, drop on here with me, girl.
Hey, Coach.
Man, thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking in.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing this nice Memorial Day weekend?
Oh, I had a very good time in Baltimore over the last couple of days. I was on the East Coast on East Coast time and, doing what we do, having a good time. My cousin graduated from Towson University on last Wednesday. Proud of her.
Okay, yeah, Maryland, yeah.
Excited for that. And then on top of everything else, my other cousin who lives in North Potomac, him and his wife barbecued. I just finished off the last of the lasagna that they made. His wife made, and he barbecued ribs, chicken.
I was going to ask for one rib. I just need one rib.
I just need one rib. That's all I need is one rib. That's all I need is one rib. But yeah, I was having a good time, and the great thing is that I wanted to, just have and spend some time with family, and a bunch of folks from Omaha came in, so we were there along with some other folks. So it was really good. And when I saw them leave, I was the last to leave the hotel, so I didn't leave the hotel till like 1:00 because my plane was like 2 or 3 hours later. But I was like, there goes my family.
Because everybody got to leave. And then the ones that have been trying to go for a couple of days, they like, man, I've been waiting to get up out of here. So that is good. We did the same thing, but kind of took a little back. Got a chance to hang out with the grandbaby yesterday and the family a little bit. So that was cool. And then we had to fight off these storms and tornadoes. I don't mind being in the South, but man, I tell you, Val, I heard it's coming through the Midwest, out West. And God ain't playing right now. I'm hoping everybody across the country, everyone's listening to my voice. Hope their family is very well and safe. And thank you guys for checking in tonight. So, Val, we're gonna get started tonight on something that's been near and dear to both of our hearts, and that's these two young ladies that's been playing their butts off and now finally getting an opportunity to be rewarded. And Miss Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been happening behind the scenes with these two young women. Caitlin Clark, obviously the #1 draft pick this past summer rather, in the WNBA, coming out of the University of Iowa, #1 points, rebounds, and assists at the university. Then she also became the all-time NCAA leading scorer on men and women division, which is phenomenal, and then goes #1 in the draft. And then we got our girl, as we call the Bayou Barbie, which is Miss Angel Reese, coming out of LSU. And she's drafted #7 overall and went to obviously my favorite team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky back home. So, it's been amazing. Have you had the opportunity to I know we've only probably been I think they had a preseason, so this is maybe 2 weeks tight into the season. Have you been able to follow these young ladies yet?
I have. I did see the Connecticut-Chicago game on, I think it was Saturday. It was the same time as the conference finals for, I believe, Boston. So I was conflicted on which one to watch, but my cousin was watching it. So we sat down. I was like, oh my gosh, there's Angel Reese, and I was checking out everybody else. I saw a couple of folks that I recognized from the bench, but there was some weirdness that was happening with that game. One of the top players on Connecticut, and I was trying to get her name right up. She did a fragrant hit on Angel.
Yeah, Thomas. Yeah.
Both going up for a layup, and I think it was about the third quarter or so. And they took a minute to kind of discuss and determine if this player should be thrown out. And eventually they did throw her out. But I think another play happened where it was against Angel Reese, and I heard the commentator clearly say there's something wrong. They need to come to their decision much sooner than they've been doing, because it took it felt like an uncomfortable 3 to 4 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, for them to come to
But they got to get it right, Val. And the thing about getting it right is that these two young women have been taking a complete beating since joining the league. They have been taking a beating. They have been thrown down. A couple of games prior to that, Angel Reese in one of the games against Las Vegas, Ozzie Wilson and someone else that came up and just purposely bumped her, knocked her off her feet on the floor. With Caitlin Clark, she's been hit off dirty screens, legs, knees. And when Thomas hit her with the Connecticut game, so let me back up a little bit. In the league, what they tried to do, Val, is they tried their best to look at what they call a flagrant 1, flagrant 2, then the ejection. A flagrant 1 foul is basically a foul where you hit somebody unnecessarily, as they call unnecessarily, or to do harm to them, but not try to hurt them. A flagrant 2 is when then you hit someone, but it's above the neck, in the head, neck area, the torso, where it could then cause bodily harm. Obviously, Thomas hooked her around the neck, slamming her to the floor. I don't know why the hell they took so long. That was obvious. I love granddaughter at 6 years old could see that.
And they had different angles, like they kept replaying the different angles from what it happened. And when I heard my cousin kind of lean into the screen, my cousin Carrie, he's like, what is going on with them? That was fragrant. That's totally wrong. And for him to kind of stand up and be like, what are you all thinking? And me and my other cousin were kind of looking like, oh, something must be off. But then when they kept replaying it, I was thinking, I saw her arm just kind of grab Angel's neck and just push her down. And then I was thinking, I don't remember WNBA basketball being this rough. I don't remember NCAA basketball could be rough too, but with the women,
yeah, I've been in women game. 23 years on the sideline, and 15 of my 23 have been with the women. And I admit the women are much tougher. My boys, they laugh at me when I tell them, but the reason why is because they play the game very fundamentally, Val. And they go through a brick wall and they really go at each other real tough. But there's just something when you really got the players are getting just going at it. My question tonight that we want to put out on the post for everybody who's watching here tonight is, are these two young women being targeted by other players in the WNBA? And the reason why I want to ask that question is because there were more than two people drafted, right? You don't see Fuwali name coming up, and by the way, she's leading all rookies in scoring, playing very well. Sparks. You don't hear her. You don't hear the young lady that came out of Stanford. None of those. You're not getting any of that stuff. But these two young women here, one with Caitlin Clark drawing the most press and having the biggest contract, and then Angel Reese is who she is. Because I mean, look at it, Val. You got Cardosa on that same team in Chicago, and at the end of the day, they're not getting that. So I'm starting to think when I'm looking at these games that these two young ladies have to be targeted, and I'm just trying to figure out, what's your thought process on that from what you've been seeing?
So I think it's because these two young ladies have gotten and attracted a lot of endorsement deals. I think that's one way. And then as we've been talking about it, even with Brittany Griner and how she had to go overseas to play for Russia, it was just about how much money are the WNBA players making. And the league now has been around since 96. Is that about right? 95, 96?
Yep, 25 years. Yep.
25 years. So I feel like it's an established child. It can pay its top rookies. And one thing I noticed about the Connecticut Chicago game, that when they play at the Wintrust Arena, that's where the Chicago Sky plays. That place was packed to the brim.
And I love her comment. Did you hear Angel Reese comment after it happened? Did you hear what she said?
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Yeah, as a part of the game, I get it, but you know something? Our season is completely sold out."
Right. It is. I tried to get tickets. For Chicago Sky, and I was thinking, oh my Lord, I didn't got sold out. Thank you so very much for joining us, Wise. What's happening, Coach Tony? And of course, thank you so very much. Of course, Mr. Springer, our moderator on Tuesdays, he's dropping in to say hello. And of course, Daniel, good to see you as well, sir. But my goodness, this is something that this is a very good question to figure out if they are being targeted. And I believe because they got so much press with number one, them coming in, what they did before they even got into the league. The WNBA, the draft was one of the most watched WNBA drafts ever. So if people
they sold tickets, we talked about that. We talked about they sold tickets to them for the first time.
Oh, I've never heard of that. And that was in Brooklyn that they had the WNBA draft. So that was a huge thing. So that is a great question. Are these two women being targeted? I have to say that I believe yes, and it's because of what they brought to what they're bringing to the WNBA. They're bringing in new blood. They're bringing in new fire, and of course more eyeballs are on them. And so this is the thing. If you are a player that's coming on, and of course people have been hyping you and saying, oh well, Caitlin Clark, she can shoot, she can throw free throws from across the way, and Angel Reese can lay up like no one else. Like, people are already complimenting your skills. Someone is going to go ahead and challenge that. And of course, I always think of my favorite basketball film, Love and Basketball. Monica Calhoun, played by Sanaa Lathan, one of her rivals. I think unfortunately she injured her foot, but she told her, never let a rookie get your spot.
Right.
We don't know whose spot they took. We don't know whose spot they took.
And then they end up being best friends.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and that's what you said is completely 100% because I don't want to bring someone else in this category, but I think in the curve, I think it's little LeBron James. Little LeBron is going to be targeted because there are the guys and people out here saying he don't belong in the league, and they're going to do everything they can to show that he don't belong. Whether it's going to piss LeBron off and maybe LeBron get into a couple of fights next season, I don't know. But with these two young women here, what makes me upset, Val, is that instead of embracing what the two young women are doing, because Caitlin Clark is in the league and through a week, she became only the third person behind our beloved Candace Parker and Isiona out of New York to come in, and through her first 6 games, she's already got 100 points, 30 assists, and 30 rebounds. That's insane from a rookie. And she's doing it, and she's doing it at a high level. And Angel Bayo Barbie is leading the league in rebounding. So,
Right.
they're
Exactly.
both coming in, doing what they got to do, and they're not sitting back waiting on things to happen. They're making things happen. And speaking of making things happen, as you mentioned, you got the two women with the two largest endorsements. Angel Reese herself. Listen to this right here, Val. She's got to deal
She
with
got
Sports Illustrated. She's got to deal with she can get us some clothes put on her body in Calvin Klein. Then if she feel like taking me and you out to eat, she can go get that at Outback Steakhouse. Then she signed an exclusive deal, not with Nike, not with Under Armour, not with Adidas. She signed with Beyonce folks and Alicia Keys folks and Reebok to make it her own shoe. She's with Zoe Energy, Amazon, Starry, the new drink that's kind of like Sprite. She on PlayStation right now. She's got Milky Organism and then Jan Sports. And the latest one, and no one knows about, guess who she just signed a deal with at home?
who?
Harold Chicken. And for those of you that haven't been to Chicago and don't know about Harold, it's the bomb. As she say, it's busting. As the kids say, it's busting. It's busting. You got to figure the sauce on it. She was voted by Chicago Eatery Magazine of having the opportunity to eat at various restaurants throughout the country based on whatever. And she's always wanted to be in a situation where she had a home-based business that was doing very well. And obviously she moved to Chicago, and then Harold's Chicken became it for her. And obviously I saw that beautiful billboard of her on Ontario Feeder, which is amazing. Then you go to Caitlin. Caitlin, obviously, we already know she's with Jake with State Farm. She's been on that since at Iowa. She's got a deal exclusive, $28 million worth of a deal with Nike, which that really made some pros upset. And I think that's why she's being targeted. They think she's, being pampered, a baby or whatever. She's also got a deal with Wilson Sporting Goods, of which, Val, they are about to give her own exclusive basketball. It's never happened since Michael Jordan. That's it. So
Wow.
she's about to have an exclusive basketball that comes out later on this year. Phenomenal. She's got to deal with Gatorade. I like to be like Mike. I like to be like Mike. So you remember that commercial? And then
I
she's
remember.
hanging out with Tiger Woods and got to deal with Buick, with Hy-Vee Performance, H&R Block. She can make sure her taxes in order. She got to deal with Topps, which they just made a basketball card of her, which I am looking for this, Val, because it's going to be through the roof when she retires. So I'm going to make sure I go get an unopened copy of that with a brand called Shootaway. It's a shooting machine. Continue to teach her how to shoot. And here's the big one, Val. To make sure her paper is invested correctly, she has a deal with Goldman Sachs.
Wow.
So
That
these girls are balling.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Don't you know that other players that are already in the league, either the ones that have been there for years or the ones that are getting ready to go out, if they did not get a deal or some type of things, like everything is opening up for the players that are at the college level, the NCAA, and we'll talk about that a little bit later regarding the new NCAA new ruling. But as we wrap up our first quarter, this is exciting. This is an exciting time for women's basketball. And I was reading something from this comes from Ann Scape, and just kind of, I think Charles Barkley was kind of speaking on the women in the WNBA and kind of mentioning them both, and saying that, Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things are going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on anything. That being said, just go have fun. But I think Charles is kind of recognizing just kind of the new energy that is being put in the WNBA because of Reese and because of Clark. And they say that all press is good press, but I am looking forward to when this weird baptism of getting into the WNBA kind of passes and they can allow both of these young women to play. And do we have time for fragrant flowers? Because it'll take about 5 minutes for them to determine.
We're going to get there. What we're going to do, we're going to go pay these bills after this first quarter, take a break. We're going to pick up on Val's question. When we get back, you're on the Pull Up Podcast show with your guy, Coach Tony, and my co-host tonight, my girl, Pam, Val the Voice. Take a break, pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
The official end of the first quarter. We're back. Yeah,
welcome back here on the Pull Up Podcast show. Make sure you like the show, share with your friend, and more importantly, subscribe to the show. I got tonight with my sidekick, my roadie here, Val the Voice Johnson, rolling with me. And we're talking about the targeting situation that's going on with two of our top WNBA women. And Val, you were asking that question about that and why it says it's about making press to keep the interest high with the WNBA. Unfortunately, you have people like to view drama, and that makes it good. And that's exactly right. The problem to that, Wise, is that you do that when we're watching Atlanta Housewives. We do that when we're watching Barbershop. We're watching Love and Hip Hop Miami, right? Because that's what keeps that going. But when you're watching the WNBA, I love that type of press. The problem is Angel Reese thrown to the floor at her throat. Caitlin Clark getting knee in her thigh, pushed to the floor. These are the type of bad situations that can end a career before it gets started. And we don't want that. Now do I worry about them getting banged up? Not at all. Give them some love. Show them welcome to the WNBA. You know what I mean? But make sure we're doing it in a fair way. Because I think you brought up a very valid point. It wasn't until Brittany Griner got caught doing a small little minor thing, as in taking her marijuana medicine, as she said, and she forgot. At the end of the day, it cost us not thousands or hundreds. It cost us millions of dollars to get her back home, and time, and a bad situation. And what these two young women have done is they put the excitement in women's basketball that it is alive and kicking right now since probably a long time. As a matter of speaking, Val, they said this is the most excited Chicago has been in basketball since guess which rookie? What rookie you think they compared it to?
Possibly. Oh, from Naperville, our very own. Why is her name?
Candace Parker.
Candace Parker. Yeah.
Nope.
Ah.
The city is buzzing for the first time, a rookie like this since D Rose got picked up by the Chicago Bulls, home native
Wow.
south side from Simeon. This is the last time when the Bulls picked him up, the city was beaming. And to get Angel Reese, they're beaming again. And the good thing about it is, you just said it, you hit it on the head. The WNBA is making that change. It's changing to the better. I read an article, they talked about it took the NBA exactly 25 years from 1960 to 1985 to make that turn with Magic, Bird, Dr. J, and then, of course, the young Michael Jordan popping on the scene. And the WNBA is in its 25th season, and they think now is at the time we're about to explode. I'm so crossing my fingers that we're going to get a new franchise here in Nashville. Of course, we're adding a brand new franchise to the logo out of Seattle this year. Golden State. Yeah, so they'll have a new franchise. And what these two women have done in terms of all of these brands and bringing them in, you know, Val, kind of reminds me of what my boy Primetime did at the HBCU. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's with TSU.
Well, no, with JSU, Jackson State.
JSU, there you go.
Right. You know, he ended up bringing in all of the brands and logos to the HBCU world that started making State Farms of the world and the All States and doing TV commercial with Nick Saban, with our main man Aflac, you know, and all that. And I love that duck, by the way. So it's been amazing. So my whole thing is, why not embrace these two women? Why not figure out the companies that they're dealing with and then say, oh, by the way, Mr. Agent, since you represent me, why don't you holler at Angel and holler at Caitlin's agent and see if it would be okay to see if I can go get Wilson to mess with me. See if I can go get Reebok to give me a deal. See if I can go get Nike to extend me something, or maybe Gatorade and State Farm. And then we all jump into a couple commercials, we all get paid. I hate that. It's kind of like the old saying, Val, you know, haters gonna hate, you know, and they try to bring a lot of you down with it. But the ones that don't kind of gonna flourish because they're gonna be on your team. And these two young women, I think, are gonna have a long, long future in the WNBA. And when it's all said and done, their names are going up in the rafters.
Right. And so here's the thing. I feel like if we want the salaries of all of the players to go up, unfortunately, these two, because they're popular and because they are rookies coming into the season, all eyes are going to be now on their first season on how that works out. All of the endorsements that they've gotten, those sponsors and folks are going to be looking at them saying, okay, are they representing our brand well? Like, so a lot is riding on these two young ladies on if the 2025 WNBA rookies that come in will either get the same press or the same endorsements, and will the salaries go up? Because what was it, 76 to 80,000 for Caitlin Clark?
And that's what they're making. Yeah. Caitlin Clark, she's making 78, and then Angel making about 76. Yeah.
So those numbers need to go closer to the six figures. I'd like to see 100 grand. I'd like to see that.
Crazy. Here's what's crazy. The men's rookie 3-year deal was worth $30 million. 30. I looked at it today. But here's the cool part about what you just said. With Angel Reese and with Caitlin Clark, as much as they getting beat up and pushed and shoved around, and they're staying classy with it, you know, Angel Reese is so funny because the money is coming in. She just went and bought a $180,000 G-Wagon that you just shown a moment ago, which is basically almost her entire salary for all 3 years. So she basically is playing in the WNBA for free and got to ride around in that G-Wagon if she wasn't making these endorsement deals right there. But she deserves it. Now, here's another thing that's been pretty cool, because the young lady is very smart. She made a good investment. Do you know what she did last week?
What did she do last week?
She became the first female in the WNBA. She bought into the Chicago Wolves Amateur Hockey League that we have at home. She bought into the Wolves Amateur Hockey franchise. That is absolutely huge. So that means that she basically said, okay, I took a third of my money and bought me a G-Wagon. So if I ain't got no place to live, I'm going to sleep in it. And then I'm going to take the rest of my money and I'm going to get it back because then I'm going to buy into a franchise. I'm going to buy into a hockey. Now she's working with D Wade and some different people. And from what I heard, Dwayne Wade and those guys flew into the game this past weekend. Him and Gabrielle Union came to the game the other night.
Oh, that's what's
So
up.
to get the NBA guys start doing that and really, because there's a lot of NBA guys now that had daughters, not sons, and they're coming up playing in the game. So that's going to put the eyes on the WNBA much, much more as the future grow talent. Because like you said, if these two young ladies continue to do what they're doing, we got the likes of Juju Watkins that's coming right behind her, Ivy Reese that's out at UCLA coming right behind her, and a slew of other ball players that haven't even gotten an opportunity. They're coming. And next year's draft is going to be just as tough. So women's basketball, if you have not been watching, I'm telling you right now, try to get a ticket if you can. If you can't, sit down and turn the TV on like they do on the NBA and like Val working your jump shot.
That's right. So I'm saying that this has been very, very exciting to see what's been happening with the WNBA. And like I said, I have been rooting for the girls for a long time. I just did not realize, and I didn't focus in on their salaries. Like I said, all of those things kind of came to the forefront when Brittany Griner was held, and it took so much money to get her back here safely, home safely. She's now released a book, and I had a wonderful interview with Robin Roberts, who has commentated and did all those wonderful things for ESPN back in the day, and now on Good Morning America. But I really have to say that I'm going to be watching and checking things out with Reese and Clark to see how their rookie season is going to turn up. And I gotta get me a ticket for the Chicago Sky. I didn't know they sold out, man.
I'm trying to come home right now for the Las Vegas Aces game in the June. So I'll let you know. We got to talk offline. I'm trying to get up in that stadium and see that. And speaking of them, the reason why I want to go is I don't know if you've seen the little article that Becky Hammond, which is the coach of Las Vegas, and also A'ja Wilson, which is their bona fide star from South Carolina, back-to-back MVP of the WNBA. People were saying that the two of them were throwing a lot of shade. As you remember, you and I talked a couple of weeks ago after the draft when we had this show on the podcast, and we talked about A'ja didn't like it because Caitlin had got the huge deal with Nike and she didn't get it. And as I mentioned then, I'll mention it tonight. That's not the player's fault. That's your agent's fault.
That's right.
And if I'm able to go represent Val and get her a headband that gives her $1 million deal and your headband was $10, that's on you. Maybe I talk differently and maybe I presented something differently in the room. And so Becky Hammond and Wilson was both saying that they love her. They wish nothing but the best for her, but every time she steps on the court, they're going to play their style of basketball. I get it. I just don't want to see anybody trying to take anyone else out in a very negative, non-contact way that has nothing to do with basketball. That's all I hate. Let the league is growing right now. Don't take out your two best players. Let the league grow around.
And like I said, it'll be to the benefit of the league to have these two women succeed and not necessarily win everything, but just if people are buying more tickets to see them play and to see them play whatever city that they go to, right, that's good for everyone. Like I think the reason why, and this is on the NBA side, the reason why those feel like the Western Conference Finals or even the Eastern Conference Finals, they go a full 7 games because that's money for everybody. We have the advertisers, we have the sponsors, we got eyeballs on the team. Let it go for 7 games, because I know all the times that the Bulls was in the finals, I was watching back when Jordan was playing, And my thing was, hey, I'm here for it. If it's gonna go a whole 7 games, I'm there for every single game. And if I
Well,
can
good
get
thing about
into a
us,
game, good. Mhm.
the good thing about us, we never won 7. That's what I loved about the Bulls. We finished everything in 6. Even our rings, 6
There you
rings,
go.
6 games. That's how Michael and the boys did it. And having said that, we're gonna come back and we're gonna turn on a dime when we come back and talk a little what's going on in the NCAA and some rules. But right now, we're gonna kick it off at halftime. And Val's pay some bills. We'll be right back to the Pull Up Podcast Show.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book?
People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. And, we have to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginning. So she comes out with me. Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol? Don't.
No, I'm just saying. She showed up in the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's going to set it down. She ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying? Because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked to Val. I thought about, writing a book myself called My Man's in Them. But,
I love it.
And look at Val.
My
Yeah.
man's in them.
My man's in them. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped some old Dub C so you could have came out crip walking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not flamed up right now. I got to hold on. Trying to get me shot.
Going back to school tomorrow, like, I saw you, Miss Charles. I saw you.
I mean, I can crip walk, so please, but I'm kind of, authoring right now. You guys are funny.
Welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show with your one and only Coach Tony and my sidekick tonight, the one and only Val, the voice, as we're going to turn and tune now into 4 quarters of information. That's what we do here on the podcast show, on the Pull Up. We give you 4 quarters of information. We keep coming with it. Val, this is something that the topic we're going to jump into is something that you make me proud of because, as you got an opportunity to start learning the sports side of things with me and really start diving into understanding what's going on. This is a hot topic that's been beaming with the young players and the NCAA and everything that's going on. And we've been talking about this NIL stuff for the longest. And now the NCAA has put up, and as they say right there, NCAA athletes, they make a deal, but they raise a question about the future of the sport. And now they want to know, as the NCAA makes this change, what is going to happen. And here's what they're saying. If the $2.8 billion settlement, Val, which is what they've got a judge looking at this particular moment, and that ruling should be coming down fairly quickly. If that is allowed and the judge agrees to that, and that comes to revenue sharing, and that would allow all the what we call major Power 5 schools. Again, let me even name them. That's going to be your Big Ten, which is where you're sitting at. It's going to be the SEC, which is where I'm sitting at in the South, the ACC to the East, the Big 12 to the Southwest, and then the Pac-12, which obviously we know the Pac-12 is going to be gone because all the schools left. So I don't know how they're going to fix that piece. But if the judge agreed and bring that in, then D1 athletes will now have the ability, Val, to come out of high school and to revenue share in everything the university brings in. It will be a first in history for the NCAA, and it's more than 120 years in existence. And the crazy part about it is you will see the schools will receive roughly 22 to $25 million per school starting the fall of 2025, Val, which would be next year. So the question that's on the floor with this, is, do you think or do you feel that the changes that the NCAA is bringing about, is that going to be good? Is that going to be fair? And is it going to be equitable across all lines? Because you have to remember, we've got NCAA logo only covers three: Division I, Division II, Division III. The NCAA JC, which is where I'm at, the junior college, similar logo, covers junior college. Then you have another one for NAIA, which is kind of like a go-between conference. So, have you had an opportunity, Val, to kind of look at this since the ruling came down on Thursday of last week?
I did. I kind of was doing a couple of research. I looked at, it looks like this one's from what is this called? New York Times, and I was looking at NPR and a few other places, but just kind of walking through this agreement. And I'm thinking now the Power Five is the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the Southeastern Conference. And that's
right.
And they've all, and this is a part of, they're going to be a part of the proposed settlement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. So this will be, here's the thing. If everyone agrees to this payment, it's a matter of I think things have to be set where it's and when people are paid, and it's the NBA or the WNBA, depending on the team, your salary is based on that. I think it should be something that's set. And I don't think there should be, in my mind, it shouldn't be any, because you're in college. I think if you are a part of the top five, if you're in the starting team, if you're one of the starters, you get paid a set something. And then if you are one of the second tier subs, then you get paid another salary for that. But for everyone that either is, if they represent the school and they represent the team to the point where their face is on, what do you call it, catalogs and brochures, like they're being used in advertising of the school mainly, they that needs to be compensated. And so, and then of course, just NIL, name, image, and likeness, just honoring that. But the schools have to honor that. And if they're under if they're under the Power Five conferences, just honor that. Set that bar of what that salary is for the kids. And then of course, their kids, their teenagers, their young adults, if anything that they do that is like setting the rules, if I don't know, they travel out of town and they get drunk and they trash the hotel room, and their salary would be threatened or it would be taken away or something like that. So I feel like all of those rules need to be set up, and especially for all those schools that fall under the Power Five conferences.
So let me ask you a question then on that. So do you know which two sports are what they consider the only revenue generating sports at a Power Five university?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say men's basketball and lacrosse.
I don't know where you got lacrosse from, but I love you. But it'd be men and women's basketball and football. Okay. Obviously, you can't forget football. Football is the reason why most of these kids go to school. If you're looking at going to, going to a Tennessee or something of that nature, Georgia, Alabama, you're going for the football purposes. Now, here's where this gets tricky based on the way you were explaining it. what happens then if I'm in the city of Chicago
Okay.
and you play favoritism to Northwestern because Northwestern is the only team that's in the city that belongs to the Big Ten.
Okay.
But I am at Loyola and I am at UIC, which are two mid-major D1 programs in the city. And we beat Northwestern a couple of times. And we played them very well. So
Okay.
are you saying that because I don't belong to the Big Ten that I shouldn't get any of that money? I shouldn't share into that?
I
Because
believe.
that's where the problem is coming in.
Okay. So then that needs to be fixed in the regards of the kids that are at those schools like Loyola, like UIC. Name, image, and likeness, the popularity of those kids should be factored into let's find a sponsor to pay the kids. Because here's the thing, the universities are making a lot of money off of the students from their fees. What is it called? Why am I forgetting? What is that? What when you pay into going to school? What is that called? The
scholarship.
The scholarships, with the scholarships and all that. But those monies come from a sponsor, the revenue that just generated from the school. And so here's the thing, maybe the kids or the schools that are under the Power 5, they have a set amount of money that's just for the athletes, and the other universities, you just be like, okay, we're going to set aside money for our star players, the ones that bring the revenue, because people come to Loyola or they come to UIC to see those players, especially if they have pride. The alumni can fight for those kids to get paid, and they can fight for the sponsors to come. So yeah,
you're on the right level, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna open up this whole can of worms. We're gonna take our last break of the day in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter on the Pull Up Podcast Show. We're gonna pay our last bill of the day. We're gonna be right back, and we're gonna open this up. We're gonna dive in like we're in the ocean.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Man, put my grandbaby in the game. Welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show. And with your boy, the one and only Coach Tony. And we talking 4 quarters of sports. We bring it to you every single Monday night. Tonight, I'm here with my girl, my co-host, my producer, my everything, my ride or die, Val the Voice. We talking down the stretch, the NIL and NCAA. So Val, let me break this down to you. And I'm going to break it down in tiers. And I know Wise, I love Wise. He's talking about them 5 nuggets. I'm about to give you some nuggets to put in that egg, that grill that you can flame up and it stay lit for a minute. So I'm going to take what you said and extend it a little bit because you were right on track. So what the NCAA is basically trying to do, Val, is take those 5 conferences that you mentioned, which by next year is going to be 4 conferences because the Pac-12 no longer exists. So they're going to have to go in there and refigure all this out. And because of Syracuse and a couple other schools already defecting out of the ACC, they're looking at possibly breaking up the ACC. So me personally, I think by 26 or 27, you're only going to see 3 power schools. That's going to be, you're either going to belong to the SEC, Southeastern Conference, that'll handle the Southeast region and most of the East Coast, the Big Ten, which will handle the Midwest, some of the other East Coast, including us picking up UCLA, USC, Washington, and Oregon, which is huge out of the Pac-12. And then you're going to see the Big 12 take care of the rest of the country from the Southwest on out. Now, what the NCAA has proposed, Val, is basically making basketball and football look like baseball. Baseball and hockey are our only sport that we got that you can come out of high school and be drafted into what they call a farm system and work your way through. Some guys never leave the farm system, but they make, 30,000 start and maybe go up to a 400,000 or 500,000, maybe even $1 million, stay there a career. Okay. If they do that, the NCAA gets an opportunity to wash their hands with the Power 5 schools. And they're asking the NBA, the WNBA, and the NFL, and Major League Baseball and Major League Hockey, NHL, those 5 leagues, to then come up with their own government boards and to monitor these kids, because then they won't belong to the NCAA no more. So these kids that come out where they consider to be professional athletes or money-generating athletes, they will have the ability to go there. Now, the UICs and Loyolas of the world, right, Valparaiso's of the world, Belmont University, small schools like Oakland who did very well in the tournament, Howard Universities and things of that nature, although they're D1s, they would only get scholarships. And if you were in that D1 small side, you can then get an NIL, but your NIL money wouldn't be part of the 21 million that they're giving to the Power 5. You can get money, but it would be in a different sense. If you are in a Division 2 or D3, they're then talking about not giving you any NIL money, but just basically giving you a scholarship. So that's going to change the face of everything, because right now D1 and D2 are both getting NIL deals, Val, and D3s, they can't because of the size, and some of these schools don't have the money. Now, the problem that I see is 2 problems. One, out of everything we talked about and everything that they're proposing, I don't see anything discussing academics, how to get these young men and women to graduate, how to make sure that financially they're going to be okay. Because do you know, as of last week, the newest report came out that every NBA and NFL guy who retires in 3 to 5 years, they are broke, 75% of them. They didn't mention Major League Baseball or NHL because it's a little different in colors there, what we got, unfortunately. And then the other loser who I see is going to be HBCUs, because you have the Howard University, the Grambling, and the Alcorns, and Alabama States, and Texas Southern, and Morgan State, and FAMU, and I can continue to go on and on. These schools are already having financial difficulties, even staying in business right now to make sure they maintain their academic stuff. So now you put them in a situation that maybe one of these kids, Val, one out of the entire conference, or maybe 2, get that glory and opportunity to go to the NBA. Now you shut that door, because the way you've now projected that if you're not in this Power 5, then the NBA, WNBA, NHL, and Major, they don't even look at you. And whereas right now, the last 3 or 4 drafts, there's been a lot of kids come over from Europe. There's a lot of kids from Division 2, whatever. So out of all this NCAA money they talk about, what happens to the kids from Europe? How do they play into this? So I think there's a lot of things that the NCAA needs to answer. I think what they have done, Val, is they've got upset because of the West Virginia and the Tennessee situation where they lost on the Sherman Antitrust Act, that they had to pay those 2 schools. And now they've seen other schools bring on lawsuits. And this is why the money that they're paying out, they're going to back pay kids. They're going to be back paying. I don't know if I said that earlier. They're going to back pay kids from 2017 all the way up through this year. Some of those checks may be as small as $3,000. Some of those checks may be as large as $300,000. And so I think the NCAA, if they're going to step away, then step away, but make sure that you step away in a way that you can protect the logo. Because at the end of the day, nothing's bigger than the logo. And even though we're fighting over basketball and football, I think you hit it on the head. What about the kids that play lacrosse? What about the kids that swim? What about the kids that run in track and field? What about the kids that play softball? These kids are at the university and they are waking up every day going to practice just like the football and basketball team, and no one even cares, period. And that's the hard part about this entire situation that the NCAA is trying to do. And I get it. They're upset because football and basketball at the Power 5 schools, they don't give them any revenue. Now, the NCAA, as I mentioned to you a few weeks ago, they only ask for 2%. So out of every $1 million, they only ask for chump change. But schools like, I'm not even giving you that. So I think it's going to be a fight. I think it's going to be one of these right here. And Val, I think that when it's all said and done and the dust clears, I think that these young kids are going to be the ones that's hurt. The reason why I say it, I see it every day. Like my kids I had in Chicago, last weekend when you were there with us. I am struggling to get these high school kids opportunities. Why? Because these colleges now are not even looking at high school kids anymore the way they were. They are looking into what they call the portal. And they're looking at these kids who are already playing at the level who don't like where they're at, and they're transferring. And the NCAA is going to make things even worse next year, Val. They are opening up unlimited transfers starting this fall. Yeah. So if a kid don't like what he's doing, he can stay there on Monday, and by Friday he say, hey, baby, I'm out, I'm bouncing. That's going to be insane. So you're looking at that piece coupled with me giving you money. And some of these kids, the best story in athletics, Val, is the kid that's in the hood with no family, mama raising him with wolves and eating out of garbage cans and sleeping in the back of a garbage truck and riding around the city. That's the story. Don't nobody want to hear about you got a 3.7 GPA and your family made sure that you ate and you were well kept. No, that ain't a story. And it's going to get worse, and until the NCAA steps in and does something that's really going to be beneficial for our kids. I personally feel our African-American kids are going to suffer the worst because we make up those larger numbers at those universities playing sports, but we also make up those larger numbers of kids and athletes once they retire that are broke.
Yeah. So I feel like, and I agree with you on this, is that they have to consider the other athletes in different sports, and then also, like I said, create the rules for, in order for you to get salary and to keep a salary or to keep your money, you've got to follow these rules. And I don't know if, when I think about the music business, and this is totally a little bit to the left here, but we're talking sports, but to the music business, when we talk about the newer artists that have come out, back in the day, the new artists that came out, they went through a full A&R training where you were trained how to do an interview. You were trained on how to do, how to look, how to present yourself. If you were a part of a group, you would always allow the lead singer to speak and not you. And so I feel like there needs to be training that happens with these athletes, because you'll be coming into a lot of notoriety, especially at a top tier school or a Division I school. And you need to be trained. Prayerfully, the coaches are being trained. But here's the thing. If the coaches are making millions of dollars coaching these kids, why aren't the kids being paid?
Transfer at any time. And they can leave whenever they want.
Right. And so like I said, I feel like there needs to be some type of stipulation, a loophole that's there, and be like, no, you can't transfer because of, and then we're paying you or this. It's like there has to be some kind of contract. As soon as we start paying you, you have to either finish the season out or something. But if
Here's
they,
what I think, Val.
yeah,
Here's what I
mhm.
think. So let's go back into the hood, right? Let's
The
go back.
hood. I
Yeah,
don't know if I
we're
want to
not,
go into the hood.
well, I'm just saying, let's go, because everything becomes very simple in the hood when you're trying to pay people, right? That's how the government was set up. So
Okay.
we're not going to go back to food stamps, but we're going to go, since they changed the food stamps over to the credit card, right? And they give them a credit card,
Okay.
right? They send you your SAP card and get it in the mail. And the reason why they did it is because they didn't want to embarrass people anymore. They wanted to allow that person who was needing that help from the government to go to the store, no different than you and I, and pull out a card, swipe it, and keep it moving, right? Unless you're behind that person, you see what they got on that conveyor belt, then you understand what they're purchasing, you know what they are, right? So
Right.
what my personal feelings are is, with me being 25 years plus in athletics and sitting in these meetings with my AD, sitting in my meeting with my coaches and watching these kids, constantly recruiting these kids and talking to coaches, and got kids at the next level, got kids overseas. I think they should create a credit card and do exactly what you said. They sit down and they create this credit card in the university. The credit card then has every single kid's name on it. You load that credit card up with X amount of dollars, and you just said it, Val, if I got a $25 million coming in my university and I decide to give football team 10 million, the basketball team 8 million, that's $18 million between those two programs. Then I take the other 7 million, I split it out. So let's say hypothetically that this football kid comes on and he gets $35,000 a month. Okay. Let's just say hypothetically that's what he gets. And he gets $300,000 a year. So he gets $35,000 a month. And we monitor that. We make sure that cannot be an automobile purchase. We make sure that can't be illegal drug purchase. We make sure that can't be alcohol purchase. We make sure he can't go to the club. You make sure that the thing that this young man is using, right, is advantageous to him or her, their living. Now, if the person is a good person that can budget, whatever you give them. So if my salary is $300,000 at the end of the year, and I'm a freshman, whatever that $300,000 that I don't lose, it goes into a future scholarship fund or a future savings fund for me. So my first year, I got $300,000, but I only spent $190,000. They take $110,000 and they put it up for me. So when I graduate, I got $110,000 to the good. Now, where I see that's positive now is if some of these kids that know that they can save that money, and because if they not gonna go to the NBA, and if I do my numbers right, and I'm getting $300,000 a year, and over 4 years, I'm making $1.2 million when I graduate. Even if I save $700,000 and spend $300,000 over the course of 4, I'm walking out of that university, money in my pocket, and the ability to start my life off after giving my blood, sweat, and tears. I think if you can do something like that, that'd be great. No different than the NFL and the NBA has a certain criteria and certain many years you must play in order you to get a benefit packet for life from the league. And if we can do that, then it's proof positive. And what the NCAA is trying to do, then it's great. But if they can't do something like that, and you give these kids this money and allow them to do what the hell they want to do, they're going to, like any normal kid, like my kids, they're going to spend it all up. And next month, they're going to want $30,000. You go, what the hell did you just spend $1,000 a day in 30 days? What did you just spend $30,000 on? Well, see what happened was, and that's what you're going to get. And in the meanwhile, you're going to say, okay, little Johnny, what your academics look like? And they're going to be like, well, was I supposed to go to class? Because most of those kids are banking on getting that money and doing what, Val? Going to the league. They're not banking on getting a degree. They're not getting a degree. That concept
That becomes
is
secondary. That becomes
Yeah,
secondary. Yeah.
So if you want to get a degree, you go down to UIC and Loyola. They get degrees down there. But at Northwestern, we're going to the league. So you got to figure that piece out. And if they can do that, I clap them. Hats off. I think it's great. I think I'm going to write somebody, Val. I think I need to be on that committee.
Yeah. And I think they need to make sure that they have the coaches as well as whomever is a part of the connected to the alumni of these schools, to say let's make these determining factors, because the thing of it is that I know that the hook is that the kids can transfer whenever, but there needs to be a loophole that says, but if you want to continue to get the money, and you have to stay with us at least until the end of the season. Like they have to put that in there in some kind of way. Yeah.
Or you transfer, like you said, whatever time that you transfer, whatever money that we're giving at this university, you forfeit it. You don't get to take the money with you. So if you go from Coach Tony University to Val Boyce University, and Coach Tony giving you $50,000 a month, and Coach and Val Boyce only can give you $20,000 a month, then I'm gonna need my paper back. You go over there with her. You know, that's the grass is green on the other side. So I think you're 100% right. And that's the only way these kids have to learn. And then the other piece of the NCAA is not talking about, Val, is if these kids transfer, well, let's just be truthful about it. I mean, you've been in school before. You have to transfer with good grades. You have to transfer with everything in order. You can't just say, I'm gonna leave. No, you have to have your classes and your passing and your grade. Everything has to be in order. And I think that piece is being left out. I think they are, in my personal opinion, I think we are still far to the right or far to the left. And until they can figure this out to get to the middle, I think we are still going to be throwing this thing around, because I'm telling you, you're going to see moans and groans from the HBCU, from Black colleges, saying that they're unjust and they're unfairly been done because they don't have the ability to have Power 5 kids in HBCU. You're going to see a lot of Latino kids that are now playing, as you mentioned, lacrosse and soccer. Say, why are we not getting paid when soccer is the largest sport worldwide? You know what I mean? There's still so many things to talk about. And I'm just glad you guys on the Pull Up Podcast show discussing it, baby.
So tell us about Rise and how you help young athletes with name, image, and likeness, and gearing them up for sponsorships and partnerships with sponsors.
Man, Val, at the Rise here, what we try to do is we try to sit down with our athletes, try to listen to what they want, listen to where they want to go, and then listen to exactly the types of brands that they want to be associated with. And then what we do is reach out to brands and ask them virtually the same thing. What are they interested in? Where are they trying to go in the future with the brand? And what kind of athletes are they looking for to help them out? And what we do is we try to mirror the two together and try to make sure the brand has an athlete that's going to help the brand succeed. And then we want to make sure we got an athlete that can help the brand succeed. And we try to bring those two together. And it's been very successful. And we've been riding a long way, and that's starting to really come. I got some, I'm working on some apparel right now too, Val. So when I get it, you're going to get a t-shirt, you're going to get a hat, you're going to see the little running man right there. We're going to drop the Rise off. So we're coming, and I couldn't have gotten into the opportunity at a better time, especially with everything that's going on in the NCAA. And I'll tell you one thing, Val, is that we get to be the little man in the room sometimes. Sometimes I'm able to talk to the brands where I'm not asking for $1 million. And then they're like, okay, let me talk to that guy because I ain't got to give up $1 million to get his athletes. and it's good because, we can all eat. We come to the table, we can all eat. So if you have a son or daughter, a niece, a nephew, a friend of the family, and you want to know how you can help them succeed with brands, then reach out to me, Coach Tony, at The Rise NIL Agency at www.therise.com, so we can help you out.
That's what I'm talking about. Man, oh man. Coach, it's been a pleasure to be here, helping you out here with the Pull Up Podcast. I'm usually behind the scenes.
On tomorrow night?
Well, we got a lot going on tomorrow night because the Pull Up Podcast show will be back next week. But we have a gospel artist on tomorrow. It's she's known professionally as JB Psalm, but it's Janita Burke, and she's got a remix out called Jesus is Champion, and she's a gospel artist. and recently just celebrated with her native country, Bermuda. That's where she comes from. So Bermuda. So
it's a triangle.
It's not the triangle or whatever. So Jesus is Champion. That is her single that's coming out. And like I said, she's been singing and she's been doing a lot of songwriting. So that's been the fun thing about that. And so Janita and I, we met, and like I said, we were part of a community on Clubhouse. And so she's just phenomenal. I got a chance to hear a little bit of a sneak peek of her song, of the remix. And so I was like, this is exciting. And I've been on her platform too. So JB Psalm, aka
I'm gonna get my voice together. I'm gonna work on my voice tonight so I can see if I can jump on the remix, and I'm gonna see. I know we've been talking. She may be able to help me out with my mans and them. Think about turning that into a track. So that may be good. So I can't wait to be me, JB. I already know about JB Smooth. So we got JB on it. And if she got some of that island music, ooh, my goodness. Gospel island, that may be different. I'm going to throw that on the turntables up here.
It's the island music that honors God. So but it's got a hot beat to it. Jesus is Champion. You'll be moving and grooving and dancing like that's right. I'm on fire for the Lord.
Hey,
what?
Hey, is it gonna make me? It's gonna make me be like Mama Payne when she was in church doing backflip down the aisle?
I believe so.
Mama Payne had it going on.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, this is what you get when you check in on the Pull Up Podcast show with me, Coach Tony. He with 4 quarters of information and my girl, Val the Voice. And we are both on Entertainment Tomorrow on Interludes Talk on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Check us out. Don't be late. Beat us there. Don't meet us there.
We'll see you on tomorrow night with Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesday. We'll see you soon. Peace.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the Voice and Coach Tony, it's the Pull Up Podcast. So, I said bounce the Voice and Coach Tony, it's the Pull Up Podcast. So, it's the Pull Up Podcast.